I think my dreams gave me the energy and enough strength to keep going. I'll always keep going, doesn't matter what happens.
The Ten Commandments Wealth went live on Easter Sunday. Join thousands of other people that made a commitment to a brighter future, to more prosperity, to brighter ways and better days. If you want to see the rest of this interview with this champion and many others, do yourself a favor. Click that link. I'll see you inside the Ten Commandments Wealth. It's right over there. Click that link. Bunny, what should you do? Click the link right there. Do it now.
Today I get to chat with Junior Dos Santos. And Junior's been a multi-time heavyweight champion. He fought the big guys. Heavyweight champion at UFC, won the title, defended the title. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and,
true.
Man, those are that's the baddest man in the world title. That you're in the biggest weight class,
big guys,
fighting the other, the biggest, tough men. And man, that's really an honor, that anybody who'd aspired that to not only are the big guy, but have the talent to beat up the other largest, tough men that are professional fighters in the world. And I mean, there's a lot of tough men that came from Brazil in your profession. I spent time with Vitor Belfort, and Vitor is a good man. And Gilbert Burns has become a buddy. Gilbert was a three-time champion in jiu-jitsu, the black belt level, three-time world champion, and then is also a tough Brazilian man at UFC. And there's so many, and you said there's Amanda Nunes is a multi-time champion. Fantastic. Amanda's tougher than a lot of men.
Man, like her training partners are all men. Yeah. The women cannot handle it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cyborg's from down there.
Yeah. Cyborg is. They fought each other. That was one of the big. I'm a big fan of Cyborg as well.
She's
because
tough.
She did amazing things. And I'm still a big fan. But the toughest women in the planet are Brazilian. Amanda and Cyborg.
No, it's true.
Of course, we have Ronda over there who did amazing. And both stay with Amanda and Cyborg.
No, I don't want to fight Cyborg.
No way. Not even
trouble.
Amanda. You can trust me.
I don't want no trouble with Chris Cyborg. A side story is I was with Tito Ortiz about 2 weeks ago. Tito was at my home, and we were training together for 3 days. And there's an old video where Tito is, he's a big man. He's like 235, 240, unless he's dropping down, but he's walking around at 240. And there's a video with Cyborg and him where he puts her in an arm bar, and she picks him up like deadlift, and like just deadlift, 240-pound man, and then dropped him on his back. And he said that shit wasn't funny. He just had back surgery, and she dropped him on his back anyway. But any case, there's so many tough people from Brazil, and you rose above them, and you were holding the titles, the most coveted title of the biggest, toughest man. Yeah. So it's something I think any young man or old man out there could relate to or aspire to. That is that's an extremely impressive feat. Where did that start for you? How did that journey start? What is the path from your junior as a little junior, and grows up to be the multi-time heavyweight champion of the world?
Sure, yeah, that was. I came from a very small city in Brazil, south of Brazil. Santa Catarina is the state. Caçador is the name of the city. It's a very small city, so there is no. And I actually never thought about being, real fighter. I did capoeira. You know capoeira? Mm-hmm. It's a Brazilian martial art, and I did capoeira when I was 14 years old or something like that. But and also I come from a very poor family. So when I was kind of 18 years old, things weren't really going good on the city. I didn't see many opportunities. So I said, man, I have to go out. I have to go to a bigger city so to try something better for me. And I did. I said goodbye to my mom, to all my family, and I went to Salvador. And there in Salvador, I was working with many different things as before I start training. But I did, I was a waiter and things like that, there in Brazil. So then I was getting kind of a little bit big, I was getting fat. And I said, I need to go to a gym now. So in 2005. So then I said, okay, but I was looking for a gym to lift weights, to do the cardio training, to lose that, that extra weight or something. But then on that gym, they have jiu-jitsu classes. And I said, oh, and I was watching Big Nog, Vanderlei Silva back in Pride. So I said, oh, that's what they do, right? What I need to do it. And they said, oh, you buy the gi and you come. And so then I did it, and I start training. I didn't have the technique, but I was strong, so I could help the guys. And they were beating me up. And the other day, that's what I say, that the secret of my journey was getting beaten on one day, and the other day be there again to get beat again. So that's how I was learning, because on the other day, they couldn't get me on the same things that we're doing the day before. So yeah, that was. Then I started training with them. I competed on gi, on jiu-jitsu, and I won the state tournament and on the weight and open division. So after some time, my coach came to me and said I was doing a little bit of MMA already with him, because he was a MMA fighter back in the day, Yuri Calton, his name, and he said, "Oh, I think it's a time for us to test ourselves. Maybe I'll get you a MMA fight." I started training jiu-jitsu for the first time in April 2005. In July 2006, I did my first MMA fight. Wow. That was quick, fast.
Yeah. And
I fought a guy who had 7 fights and already, and I went there and I won the fight. I knocked him out in the first round. I could say I took him down, but I didn't. I threw him to the ground. And I didn't have enough technique to take him down. I threw him to the ground. And that time it was legal. I kicked his head, like
a soccer ball.
Like a soccer ball. And I knocked him out over there. It was very impressive, while people was kind of shocked in the audience, I was celebrating, and he's laying down over there, That was a big noise, the kick made a big noise. So then the feeling I had after that fight, after that victory, it was so amazing, so good, and it was kind of opening so many opportunities for me. That first fight, I saw so many things, so many good things coming from that. And I said, man, that's what I want to do, until I can, till the rest of my life, if I can, So then that was a very important day. And also I was celebrating, we went to a gas station to celebrate the victory, and they gave me a beer. And I used to drink, and then when they gave me the beer, I drank one beer, and they gave me another one. I said, man, why I'm drinking? Oh, cool. Now I'm look at that. The first fight, I said, no, man, I'm an athlete. I'm a fighter. I'm not going to drink anymore. And I threw it back, the beer back. And I said, you know what? I'm starting today, and I'm just going to go back on drinking when I become champion of the world. Everybody, all my friends were laughing at me. But my coach came to me, he tapped in my back and said, that's the mentality, my boy. That's the mentality. You're going to get there. And then I stopped drinking. That day I stopped drinking, never drink anymore. And when I became champion, when I became champion in 2000, it was in 2006, 2011, the end of 2011, I became champion of the world. And they bought me a very expensive champagne and brought to me, because I would go back on drinking. Man, I couldn't even feel the smell. That was so nice. I said, no, if I get to intoxicate myself, bring me a Coke. And I didn't drink. And I feel good like that.
So it's 5 years, you have your first fight, and 5 years later you made it to champion of the world, UFC champion.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary.
That was crazy. That was very fast. I think because of that's what people say, when you love what you do, you don't need to work any day, you have fun doing. And that's explained very well what I was living there. I was having so much fun. Of course, I was nervous and anxious before of my fights, and on training, on getting prepared and everything, but I was enjoying the whole process, because my coaches, my team around me, they were making me believe that I could reach the top of the world one day, and then I I'm a big dreamer, so I was always good on dreaming, and I think my dreams gave me the energy and the strength, enough strength to keep going. I'll always keep going, doesn't matter what happens.
You know, there's some people that they hear someone like you, someone like me, other people who they've done well in some area. They say, "Oh, I just did what I love. I just did what I love." And you know, maybe you're a different type person. I don't know, but there must be somewhere in that 5 years. Maybe it wasn't fun getting punched in the head that day.
Oh no.
Maybe somewhere in that 5 years, you know, somebody put the Kimura on a little too tight, and you know your arm is sore. But there's plenty of times for me that, in general, I really did the things I wanted to do. I wanted to work. I wanted to be a business person. I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to invest my money so my money makes me more money.
Yeah.
I did these things. I did them very well. There's times that it was very, you know, you have moments that are embarrassing. You have moments that you feel like shit, or at least for me. Maybe every moment you loved getting punched. I don't know. But my experience is times that were very frustrating. There's times that you doubt yourself for a minute. Like, I can't believe I've done so much. Can I really do more?
Yeah.
And over time, that it's kind of how you said of like, you building yourself up, building your skill set. You make a mistake at the gym, you come back tomorrow, you make a new mistake. But you're done with that one, and new mistake, and pretty soon you start to be very talented at something.
Yeah.
But how did you deal with those times that maybe you felt frustrated? You say, well, what the hell do I do now? Or you have some moments like this that
many. In the fight world, it's all, for me, it's MMA is the hardest sport in the world.
I think it is.
For you to get prepared for that, it's so hard. You have to split your week in so many different type of trainings. It's exhausting, and you're always with pain and some injury or something like that. It's hard. I can count in my one hand, I think, the fights that I wasn't injured fighting, so it was very hard. Yeah. I can explain that with a very special moment in my life that was critical. And I was there in Brazil, and I had 5 fights, 5 great wins, there in Brazil. And then I was able to sign with the UFC. A manager came to me and said, I'll try to sell you over there. And they went over there and they talked with the UFC. I'm a heavyweight. Okay, they said, okay, let's sign him. And I signed with the contract with him. But I had one more fight there in Brazil. And I would fight a guy that I have already beat before. So... and then I said, okay, I'll do this one more fight here, and then I'll be in the UFC. Mm-hmm. And then I went to fight this guy. And he was a good jiu-jitsu guy, as a good Brazilian, and I lost it. He got my arm and he submitted on the arm bar, and I lost the fight. And then my gosh, I said, that was my first loss, and I was feeling so bad about it, And then the UFC called the manager and said, "Oh, look, we don't take guys who come from defeat. So we're not gonna give Junior a contract." Man, my world fall apart, because that was the chance I was waiting to kind of escape from the world that I know, that I knew to maybe build something better for me and my family in the future, and everything was working good, and suddenly it all fall apart, right in front of me. And I was for a few days at home, very frustrated and just thinking bad, having those bad thoughts. And then I was talking, of course, with the people around me and my coaches, and they said, "Oh, why don't you go back to the gym and at least you keep training, and maybe you can have an next fight and keep going. It's not the end of the world." But for me, it was kind of. And I went back to, but I always say God knows what He does, because I went back to the gym and I started training again. I started feeling good again, and at some point we had one more fight there in Brazil. Then they had one more fight for me there in Brazil, and I fought this guy and I won the fight. And then some other managers, they were able to talk with the UFC again, and they were interested in having me again after just one more fight. So that was perfect. I said, oh my gosh. And I was making more money than I was making on the first contract, and everything was going better. So I said, well, that's perfect. Things are working out good now. So my debut, the only thing I remember to this day, very clear, because my coach said, oh, we got, the manager called me, and he said, we got the fight in the UFC that you're going to be in. I said, oh my gosh, but there's one problem. I said, one problem? What problem? Yeah, your opponent's going to be Verdun. Verdun at that time, he was supposed to fight for the title. He was a big guy, and I was a fan because he was fighting in Pride and things, and he was a big name already in Brazil, and the whole world actually. And they said, oh, you gotta fight Verdun, and I was, okay, let's go, coach. If I believe we can. Coach said, of course, you're gonna win this fight, of course. But of course, I was very nervous, to be fighting a guy who was supposed to fight for the title at that time. And but things worked out very well, and I went to that fight. I was very nervous, of course, but I won the fight, and by knockout, in the first round. And one very special thing, when I was coming down, I remember very clear, when I was coming down the cage, a guy who used to work in the UFC, he doesn't work anymore over there, he looked at me and said, welcome aboard. Because of the victory, on the first fight. That was special.
It is special. That's an amazing story. That having that volatility. I never met one person that's extremely successful that didn't have some setbacks like that. Yeah. That you have that one loss, and I bet, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but did that make you a better fighter after you had that first defeat and the feelings you had from that you're like, fuck? 100%. And then you had to go back. Did that make you a better fighter? Did it prepare you to do better in the UFC by the time you got there, you think?
Yeah, 100%. Also because I was understanding better the game, and I was able to evolve better my skills, to get there, and even my mentality, going into a fight. Because I was always so nervous because I was undefeated, and I would like to keep undefeated for the rest of my career, things like that, So I lost, and I thought, well, okay, now what? After my first fight, the fight after this one I lost, I won the fight, then I said, okay, now I'm signing the UFC again, I'm going to the biggest and best MMA show in the world, and man, this is just amazing, I
was living on my coach's living room on a mattress, I ended up just bouncing at a bar. I'd been a cop, I quit my job, and
Derek Moneyberg presents the 10 Commandments of Wealth.
Took the gamble on myself to become a successful professional fighter and make it to the UFC or Pride, and at the time. And
am I making a sacrifice right now, or am I just investing in a better future? So it's easier for me to make those decisions when I think about it. It's like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you mention it, having to actually really process and think about it, I think that word sacrifice is kind of like, I believe it's the word that the ones at the top kind of use to make everyone else feel better about it. Because when you're at the top, now you realize that was an investment.
Was everything just golden and easy and handed to you, or do you have a little struggle yourself along the way?
No. Yeah, in 2013 and 2015, I was living out of my car. Full time, and I was too proud to ask for help. Like, how ridiculous is that? You're living out of your car and you think you know it all. And 2015, that's when I kind of I knew that I didn't know it all. So why not find experts in that and really shortcut that? I thought I was going to just chip away. I thought I was just going to read books till I was an expert. I never really talked to anyone that actually did it.
It's been about a week since I've joined the 10 Commandments of Wealth program, and there's so many interviews that are offered in this program. I'm inside the Derek Moneyberg 10 Commandments of Wealth program. This is an awesome program that you're gonna love. I'm gonna use the principles and the knowledge from this program to help me boost my leads in my marketing firm. Buy this program, it's a wonderful investment for your future. You won't regret it, and you'll absolutely love it.